Hey
Hey guys,
guys, welcome
welcome
back
back
to
to
another
another episode
episode
of
of the
the
Legal
Legal
Lowdown.
Lowdown. We're your hosts, Caleb
Malachi.
and today we'll be discussing juvenile law.
I'm not gonna lie, gang. This pre-law stuff, like the intro, bro, it was a lot to take in. Like the juvenile law part, never really thought about it before.
Yeah, I know to me, sometimes kind of separate from everything else. Like kids getting in trouble, isn't that just parenting?
That's what I thought too, but Miss Harris was saying a whole different system, like the juvenile justice system or something.
Right. She mentioned that. So, what's the point of having a whole separate system for kids?
Well, she said it's supposed to be more about rehabilitation and punishment, like helping kids get back on track instead of locking them away, taking their lives away.
Rehabilitation, huh? Sounds optimistic.
I guess. And she talked about different kinds of offenses, like there's the delinquent offenses. Those are like crimes that adults would get arrested for, but just when a kid does them.
Like stealing a car?
Exactly. Like or vandalism, maybe assault, stuff illegal for everyone.
Hmm. Okay, that makes sense. But she also said something about status offenses. What are those?
From my recollection, I like those are the weird ones. Like they're things that are only illegal because you're a kid.
Only illegal because you're a kid? Like what? Staying up past your bedtime?
Not quite to that extreme, but basically, kind of, like truancy, not going to school, or running away from home. Maybe even violating curfew, since those are legal laws, or
Hmm.
stuff that wouldn't get an adult in trouble with the law.
So if I skip school, I could end up in juvenile court?
Technically, yeah, like that's where those cases go. Miss Harris said the juvenile court procedures are different too. It's not like regular criminal trial with a jury and everything.
No jury? So who decides the verdict?
Usually it's like the judge, I'm pretty sure, and the focus is more on what's in the best interest of the child
Hmm.
instead of how much time can we get out of this person. It's supposed to be less adversarial, like less about providing guilt and more about figuring out why the kid did what they did and how to help them more in the future.
Hmm. That sounds less intense than regular court.
My bad, guys. I had to go get some water. Yeah, but it can still have some serious consequences, like being placed in a detention center or being put on probation. And Miss Harris talked about the history of juvenile justice is kind of complicated.
Complicated how?
Well, she said it started out with good intentions, like getting the kids out of prison, but over time it faced criticism for being too lenient sometimes and too
Mm-hmm.
harsh at other times. It's been through a lot of changes.
Mm. So it's been evolving, I guess. Like trying to figure out the right balance.
Exactly. And she mentioned some landmark
Mm.
juvenile case, like cases that changed how things are done in juvenile court, basically.
Oh yeah, I think I remember her saying something about Galt.
Yeah. And Regal, that was a huge one. Before that, kids didn't have a lot of rights in juvenile court. Like they didn't necessarily have a lawyer or the right to cross-examine a witness.
No lawyer? That seems unfair.
Totally. Galt basically said kids have some of the same rights as adult in court, especially if they could end up in detention. Detention. Like the right to notice of charges, the right to counsel, and even the right against
Mm.
self-incrimination.
So in Regal made things more fair for kids in court.
Yeah, and there was another one like Tinker versus Desmoines.
Des Moines.
Des Moines. That was one about the student's speech in schools.
The armband one?
That's the one. The Supreme Court said students don't lose their First Amendment right at schoolhouse gate as long as they're not disruptive. They can express themselves.
So landmark cases are like the big decisions that shaped how things are done now.
Basically, yeah,
Mm.
it's the ones that set precedents and change the rules for the entire game.
Man, that's a lot more intricate than I initially thought. Juvenile law isn't just about kids getting in trouble, it's a whole system with its own rules and history.
Right? It makes you think about how the law tries to balance protecting society with helping young people. It's a simple problem with a really simple answer.
Definitely not. Okay, well, thanks for helping me sort through that, Malachi. My brain was feeling a little overloaded.
Mine too, but it's kind of fascinating in a weird way, like seeing how the law works different for groups of people.
Yeah, I guess.
And
And
that's
that's
just
just
the
the
way
way
it
it
is.
is.
Thank you guys for joining us on another episode of
The Legal Lowdown.
I'm your host, Malachi.
And I'm Caleb.
Hope to see you on the next episode of
The Legal Lowdown, where we will be covering criminal law and all things surrounding it.
everything that encompasses criminal
Yes.
law. Thank you guys. Make sure to like, subscribe,
Subscribe. Yes.
hit that post notification bell.
Yes.
Until next time, my low downers.
Yes. Peace and love.